Welcome, everybody, to Kick the Can Podcast, Episode 7. We're just heading into summer. We just passed Memorial Day weekend, so things are looking good. The weather's going to start to get nice, and be hitting the beach soon and all that good stuff. But, you know, the weather's been pretty crappy lately, even on the weekends. So I've been watching TV, a little of this, a little of that. So about 2 weeks ago, I stumbled across The Sopranos. They run them, you know, for a day or two straight on a couple of the HBO channels. And I came across the episode that I really liked back in the day. It was the episode where Uncle Junior gets called out for, performing oral sex on his girlfriend on vacation. So everybody, I'm sure, watches The Sopranos, and just to stir it up, the woman lets it get out at the beauty parlor of Uncle Junior's, superiority in the art of satisfying a woman. And before you know it, the beauty parlor, it reaches its way to the Sunday dinner table at Tony and Carmela's. And they even mention it in a ball-busting way. Uncle Junior's sitting there, and they're goofing on him because of the fact that it's rumored that he performs oral sex on women, or the girlfriend anyway. So I remembered back to the first time I saw that on The Sopranos. I think I went right to the edge of the couch, and did I really hear that? Is it really what it says? Is that art imitating life, gangster life? Because I thought of so many stories in the real world, in the neighborhood, where guys would just assume that another guy performs oral sex on a woman. There was no announcement. There was no kind of lingus gazette posted. It was just they thought it, their opinion. They were throwing it out there, and it was all done in actually no women around. It was locker room talk, ball busting to another extent. But it brought me to a time where I had an after-school job. I think I started about 10th grade. I worked in the Butchie's grocery store, which is, if you're from the neighborhood, it was the corner of 189th and Hughes Avenue. And Butch was quite the character. He pretty much worked in that store probably from when he was 11, 12 years old. And his father had passed away in an untimely fashion as a young man. So Butch, it was his store, and, he knew how to run it. It was a nice corner store, convenient, clean, and Butch was quite the character, and the people that hung out there were supporting cast. So when I first, I don't even know how I started to hang out there with Butch. He's sort of an indirect relative of mine, but I think when I would go like in the morning to get a sandwich before school, or I would like somebody come in for a paper, I take the money, change it out, and help him out till he made my sandwich, or usually a couple of sandwiches, because we went there usually as a group before we went to school. And before you know it, I'm helping him, and then I'm working there. Don't ask me how, but I'm working there. And the guy deserved a break. You know, he really did. He was a young man, but the store was 7 hours, 6 days a week at that time, and 12 hours a day. One guy, you know. Even when he wanted to go to the men's room, he had to trust somebody to watch the front. So, you know, not far into me helping him out after school, he started to go jogging and, you know, maybe run around the corner, see his mother. So it gave him a little bit of freedom, break up his day. And so it was a good mix. And you know what? When you're in the 10th grade and, you know, you got a single mom, a couple of bucks on my end didn't help. But in that store was a total cast of characters, Butch's friends. Not everybody was there to get a container of milk. They were there to bust balls on each other, bust balls on Butch. And you had the real gamut of neighborhood guys, you know, sanitation workers, you know, guys that went into the city, civil, you know, suit and tie guys, civil servants, everything. But you had the guy that sold the shoes out of the trunk of his car. You had the guy that took the numbers. So it was a mix of, you know, citizens and wannabe guys. So the wannabe guys, they would bust Butch's balls because, you know, Butch was carefree, had a ponytail. He must be going down on the lady friends, or if he was single, divorced, separated, whatever he was. But Butch, they would bust his balls, and he would give it right back to them. You know, whether it was true or not, like, wasn't even the issue. It was their opinion. And Butch says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna wear this like a badge of honor," and he would goof on these other guys. "Oh yeah, you're this, you're just a stick man. You know, I can get the girls," and just back and forth, busting chops. And me, you know, here I am, I'm 15. What the hell are these guys talking about? To see that kind of thinking from really, not the guys who were like mobsters or just neighborhood guys, but the belief was just the way they portrayed in The Sopranos. If it got out that Uncle Junior was doing this, he would be a weak boss. And these guys didn't want to be perceived to be weak at anything. You know, whatever your aspirations were, to move up from a numbers guy to a whatever. But that really didn't matter. It was just that this was a real thing in the early 70s. A code of conduct that was an unwritten rule with certain people, and I love the fact that they mainstreamed it into The Sopranos in a perfect way, you know. And The Sopranos did a lot of that, you know. They did a lot of those. They brought a lot of things around: homosexuality, drug use, psychiatry, a lot of things, parenting, you know, prejudice. They topped it all these tones of society with wise guy stuff. That's why the show was great. You know, it really was a great watch. And you know, when I was thinking about it, I fast forwarded myself maybe from 15 to early 20s, 25 maybe. And I ran with a bunch of guys, all different guys, same thing. Guys went to work every day. Some guys didn't go to work every day. They were going to look at a way where they could make money, you know, by meeting a guy or seeing a guy or betting on this or whatever they did. There was always an element that was gonna, try to, they were wannabe guys, the expression, and it was cool. They were good kids. These are some of my childhood friends, but somewhere along the line, they were coming at me with this, I was the guy that they were goofing on because they interpreted my appearance. Oh, this guy, he must be, he's got girlfriends and he's got long hair. He's definitely, and the expression they used, he's definitely a magnon. It's like manja, but, let's step off of that. But it's just locker room talk and ball busting. And it was fun. They really let me have it because I was the odd one in the group with the long hair. I wasn't the disco guy like they were, but they were still my friends, and they included me. We're going to go watch a football game. We're going to the diner. It was always the way, and it really brings it. I still can't get over it the way they portray it in the Sopranos and the way they describe it. I think Tony or Carmela say at the table that they referred it to eating sushi. And Uncle Junior's like oblivious to what they're saying. It was classic. And at the end of the day, Uncle Junior has to break up with the girl because it got out. He rubs the pie in her face at the end. And poor Uncle Junior, I don't think he had another girlfriend after that. It all went bad for him. In the Sopranos, got arrested, got sick, house arrest. But and thinking of the character, not Uncle Junior, but the actual actor, Dominic Chianese. He is from Belmont. I don't know where exactly, but there were loads of Chianeses in the neighborhood. I think Dominic Chianese had three cousins that were very good friends of Butch. And they would always be in the store, at some point or another. They were always hanging around. I think they were in the liquor store business. Lovely people. And I had the opportunity to meet Uncle Junior, Dominic Chianese, at, you're not going to believe this one, a Fordham Prep fundraiser. And, it was after my son graduated from Fordham Prep. And that was probably around 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. I'm going to post a picture of me and my friend Joe with Uncle Junior. And the fundraiser was, it wasn't this a big thing, but the entertainment was no silent auction. It was Dominic Chianese, who's, a neighborhood guy. He sang a beautiful song in Italian, playing the guitar. It was lovely. And one of the other entertainers was, Yankee fans will remember this guy, the Irish tenor, large Irish singer, baritone, or the tenor, he would sing, if I recall, at a lot of the Yankee playoff games at Yankee Stadium. He would sing Star Spangled Banner. And he sang a couple of songs. And when you see somebody, close up in that environment, right there, it was a nice night. We saw, a lot of my son's friends, their parents were there. So even though we were removed from the school already, it was nice. It's always nice to catch up with, people that you always pal around with when your kids were little, or friends of your kids and then their parents. We had a lot of that. And we started to talk to Dominic Chianese, and then my friend Joe goes, "Oh, take a picture." And I never would have thought of it, but now that I look back on it, it's a treasure of a picture. And Joe Granda, he wanted to give him and his wife Michelle a quick little shout out here. Just became grandparents just a couple of days ago, and couldn't be happier for them. And so we'll give them a little shout here. They all listen to the Kick the Can. And another thing with Joe, it was him and my two sons that just put it in my head that I had to do this podcast. And I was kicking and screaming, but I'm so glad now that I'm doing it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Who listens? Who doesn't? I know I joke around. I open the window and yell, and more people hear me. But Matt says people are starting to catch on, and I get a lot of feedback from people every time an episode comes out. I get corrected on some things. The ball busters. When they think I get something wrong, because I kept smoking pot, because I smoked too much pot. He was always stoned. That's why his memory's no good. But I do the best I can with what I got left. And I'm glad I got people that help me or, give me their opinions and tell me how they saw it. Because this is one of the reasons why I do this. I get this. I want people's memories to get stirred up about things from 50, 60 years ago, and post some pictures, and everybody has a different reaction. It's not only my friends from Arthur Avenue, Mount Carmel, it's my newer friends who've been hearing these stories, and maybe they find them entertaining and they're tired of them, but they find out something that maybe they didn't know about me or my family. So it's really nice. And we had a lot of nice response to the last episode where Larry Samili came on with me. It was a real help to me. I like to talk. Don't get me wrong. If you know me, you know I like to talk. But moving forward, I think every other episode I'm going to have somebody on with me. And the feedback I get from my lifelong friends, I throw it to them. What do you think I should say next? Or what did I miss? Some guys give me a list. So I go, give me an idea. And when they give me something that I really latch on, they're coming on the podcast with me. So, I think the next podcast, I'm going to bring Frankie Pagnotta on with me, and we're going to talk about sports in the neighborhood. Sports right from CIO up till the sports they played in 45 Field, in the playground. Frankie was a big participant, and he's got a great memory, and I know everybody's going to enjoy it because I might have mentioned it a few episodes ago that on Facebook somebody posted a picture of this team I think they're called the Belmonts, older than me, guys maybe 8-10 years older than me, but it was touch football in 45 Field, and the response to the comments of a picture posted of the team, a real who's of guys, I couldn't believe it. So I think the sports part of the neighborhood is a nice topic, and I think everybody is going to enjoy it. So that's probably going to be the next one, maybe in about 2 weeks. Frankie's probably going to hear about it now, but he's great. He's great help to me with ideas and comments, and most important, remembering things, To kick back to Uncle Junior, I got off topic there. And he's from the neighborhood, made it big. He was, I think he was in The Godfather, a small part, and then in The Sopranos naturally. But everybody knows the real famous actor that just recently came out of the neighborhood was Chazz Palminteri. And Chazz, I got to know him as a young man too. He hung out in that grocery store, and he was, if I can remember way back then, I think he was a wedding singer. So he had the aspirations to do something, some kind of a performance, something, actor. And he hemmed and hawed, and then when he finally went, I think as the story goes, he went to California, and he wrote this Bronx Tale. And what I liked about it then, I give you my opinions now, but back then when he came back to New York, I don't know how many people actually went and saw it or remember it as a one-man play before he made the movie. I'm thinking 1988, 1989, something like that. I was already on tour with Sinatra, but I would come back to New York a lot. My mom still lived here. Plus, we always did shows in New York, and I was in New York a lot. And the first opportunity I had to go to see the Bronx Tale as a one-man play, I went, and we're gonna post a picture of the playbill from that night, And I know everybody might have saw it as a one-man play later on in larger venues, but to see somebody in an intimate setting with 200 or 300 other people, pouring it out for an hour and a half. Me, I talk here for 35 minutes sometimes, I'm exhausted. So he would do this and without any kind of pictures or, they would just change the stencil in the back or change the lighting. Everything was by description. And it was phenomenal. I mean, the performance was phenomenal. And rightfully so. How it went from there to a movie and whatever else. Chazz is all over the place with, I expect maybe a Bronx Tale Monopoly game soon. He's got wine, cigars. But you know what? He had it with the success that came to him. He played he played it in. Now I think he's sort of he thinks he's like a philosopher, or he knows a lot. He does have a podcast. I think he needs somebody like me on the podcast to give a little pushback, because he only brings on people that really, suck up to him. But Chazz was a first-class all-star ball buster in the day, And I don't know how much of that is still there, He's a professional actor. He still lives here, but, he spent a lot of time with other actors and stuff like that. But I'll always remember. I wish I would have got him to sign this playbill. It would really have made it more memorable. But I did go twice. I don't remember how long it ran for. Playhouse 91. I think it was on the Upper East Side. 91st Street. Okay, there you go. And first time I went, I think it was just a date kind of a thing. And then the next time I went, my mother, my Aunt Nettie and Uncle Eddie, and a few others, we really enjoyed it. And Chazz, so appreciative. I'm sure Butch was there for the support, because he didn't know where this was going to go, but it was a balls maneuver by him to do it, and give him a lot of credit. And I also noticed this week was Chazz's birthday a couple of days ago. Now, I don't know how Chazz did in school in math, but it looks like Chazz is only, for every 5 years that pass, he only gets 3 years older. So it turns out Chazz is only 73 and I'm 71. And I don't think it was like that, you know. I get it. He's an actor. Vanity plays into it. But, come on, Chazz. He keeps it up. He's going to be younger than me soon. And I believe he went to Mount Carmel. I don't remember him in Mount Carmel, but I think he went to Mount Carmel too, And so maybe he'll get hold of this Kick the Can podcast, and we could have a nice conversation, Chazz. I wanted to also kick back a little bit to that Fordham Prep thing, and my friends from Mount Carmel, the boys. So we graduated Mount Carmel in 1968, and I think there was over 40 boys, maybe more. It was probably more like 65, 70 boys. And we all went on to high school, and a group of guys went to Cardinal Hayes, group of guys All Hallows, Mount St. Michael, where I went, and a lot of guys went to Clinton, Roosevelt. I think some guys could even go to Columbus if they lived close enough. I don't know, but basically, and then the smarter kids went to Stuyvesant. Those are public schools that needed you had to take an academic test to get in. Bronx High School of Science, Stuyvesant. Those two are the premier schools in the public schools. So we must have had guys go there. And Regis was another one of the top Catholic schools where you really had to take a special exam to go to. But to go back to Fordham Prep, when my son was there those years, 2009 to 2013, you go down, teachers' night, whatever they call it. You run through their schedule, you meet all the teachers. And in the hallways, they have a class picture of all the classes. I mean, you're going back into like the 30s and 40s of the graduating classes of Fordham Prep. So I made my way to try to find the class of 72 from Fordham Prep, which would have been my year, our guys from Mount Carmel. And I wasn't surprised to see that there was not one kid from Mount Carmel that went to Fordham Prep. I didn't recognize any of the faces. I never heard of anybody going there. And if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. But I started to think about it. The school was literally 2 blocks from Mount Carmel. All you had to do was go down Bathgate, cross Fordham Road, into the college. And at that time, Fordham Prep was a lot smaller, and it was in, what building was that, Matt? Hughes Hall. Hughes Hall must be after a bishop or a cardinal, and Hughes Avenue is probably, coincidentally, maybe named after the same person. So the school was a lot smaller. So Fordham Prep was the closest of any Catholic school. We were schlepping 2 buses to get to Mount, rain, snow, carrying your books. The guys that went to Hayes, same thing, subway. The only ones that had it easy were the guys that went to Roosevelt. And even then, you could have lived on the other side of the neighborhood, and Roosevelt was not close by. So I always wondered why nobody went to Fordham Prep. And the obvious answers are, to me, is that we had smart kids in Mount Carmel, but it had to be the tuition. I think when I started Mount St. Michael in 1968, the tuition was $45 or $50 a month. Big number for my mother. I mean, it was big money for anybody's parents. But it was, it was worth it. I believe in it. Both of my sons went to Catholic high schools. And so it had to be the tuition. And when my son got there in 2009, I realized the base of the students in Fordham Prep came off of Metro North. So that train is stopping everywhere people are owning their own homes, where they can afford a steeper tuition. And they didn't have to rely on Bronx kids or Manhattan kids. They probably had a steep tuition, a tough entrance exam, and a Metro North stop right across the street. And I think that's really helped Fordham Prep right up to this day, because you don't have to compete with, they do a good job educating the kids for sure. But you know what? You can take the kids with a higher average and be more selective. But then it gets away from being a true Bronx school, in my opinion. But I always wondered about that. What was the real story there? And I remember we took an entrance exam for all the Catholic high schools. I think it was called, now they call it the tax test. My kids took it, but it was called the co-op. And we took it in Fordham Prep in Hughes Hall. Big day for us, 8th graders making their mark. So it was a good memory to think about. Dominic Chianese, the night at Fordham Prep at the fundraiser, and I had a laugh with that Sopranos episode. It was really great. And then I want to give Chazz a shout out to, he's another actor from the neighborhood. So that's better. How we doing, Matt? Okay? Matt says we're okay. What did I want to say today also? I got a new sponsor. It's Prevagen. Let me tell you, if I would have started taking Prevagen 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't be stumbling around here on this podcast. I'd be razor sharp. So if you're hitting your late 50s and you're getting a little sketchy, try to grab the Prevagen. And like always, Facebook, you get the link for the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and the YouTube. Now, I was asking Matt. Now the pictures only come up on the YouTube, Spotify, the YouTube version of the podcast, and Facebook. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, try to. The pictures are worth it. The pictures are really worth it. Try to get somebody to get you on Facebook, or even if you just somebody in your family, you go on their page and follow the Kick the Can podcast and use the link. Actually, the pictures are on the Facebook Kick the Can podcast homepage. All the pictures are there, so they're kind of worth it. I get a lot of comments on the pictures, and like I said, today I'm going to post a picture of Joe Grander and myself with Uncle Junior, and a photo of the playbill from the Bronx Tale, one-man show off Broadway. So there you go. That's episode 7. Will be another 2 weeks. I'll have Frankie on with me. He's going to find out about it now, and we'll talk that over. Thanks for listening. See you next time.